pretty angry person, stuff like that, and yeah, I was pretty angry person.
At first it didn't really affect him too much because nobody really knew. Well, my brother knew because I told him everything, but he didn't really understand it, so he didn't know what was going on.
My very first time ever trying them, it wasn't even snorting them. Like I shot up my very first time ever trying pills.
And I never really used socially. Like once I did it, I just didn't stop. I started off with hard drugs and that was it. I was gone.
Basically, I just got around with the wrong crowds when I was probably about 13, I guess. And I started drinking pretty heavy at that time, at 13, 14 or so. And and I started using drugs and stuff like that for quite a while.
Around grade 6, I just started feeling different, like feeling down all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. I just felt different than the rest of the kids I went to school with and everything. Like, I got along good with them and everything, but I just didn't really hang out with them because I just felt different. And then I started junior high, and I think it was summer after grade 7. I started smoking weed and drinking, and I just felt good about it because I thought I found the cure for why I felt so down all the time. Halfway through grade 8, I was doing something every day, so it didn't take that long at all.
Well, I was kind of exposed to drugs my whole life. My dad was in and out of prison my whole life, and my mom had her own problems, I guess. So I was left home a lot. So I was about 13. I started dating this guy who was a bit older than me, and he hung out with people older than him, and they were partying every day. And I kind of just started doing drugs without even really knowing what they were. I stopped for about a year when I was 16, and then I started getting into prescription pills, and I was on them ever since.
My addiction started probably when I was 13. I started, the first drug that I used, well, I drank, and then it went on. I tried smoking weed, and I didn't like that because it gave me really bad anxiety attacks and everything. So anyways, from that I figured, well, I'll try something else. I mean, I see all these people that like it, and like at the time I was being bullied a lot. My parents ended up splitting up, and I was hanging out with a bad set of people that were into drugs. I ended up using them, and my very first time ever trying them, it wasn't even snorting them. Like I shot up my very first time ever trying pills, and I tried ecstasy before that. I forgot to say that too.
And then just one day, my friend had some, and I just never heard of them, and I figured they were prescription and they were safe, so I tried them and I liked them, so I thought I found something that made me feel really good, that was safe. That was probably the worst because whenever I started doing them, like, that was what I was looking for all along, pretty much, was that feeling. But after a little while, whenever I didn't have them, I started feeling sick, so I pretty much, if I didn't have them, I didn't go to school, but if I did have them, I still didn't go to school because I didn't feel like going to school. So pretty much as soon as I started doing them, it just started affecting like every part of my life. At first I was working, so I had my paychecks and I had like a bunch of instruments and game systems and stuff, so I just pawned them until my payday and got them back. But then after a while I was using more and more, so I was getting the stuff back less and less till I lost everything I had. So that was how it was at first, and then before I knew it I was going out stealing every day, and yeah.
I was in academic French immersion, and I ended up in general English. I skipped all the time. It took me 5 years just to graduate high school. I tried Holland College. I ended up dropping out and wasted like thousands of dollars. So it affected my school very negative. I would lie. Like my grandparents are a big part of my life, and they were kind of naive. So I would lie and say I'm doing this or I'm doing that to get money. And then once I started into the prescription pills, I started stealing all the time and pawned everything I had, and I got caught for stealing and stuff. So I lost all my good friends, I guess. Yeah, I don't know that it all turned into drug addicts, but I mean, they'll rip you off in 2 seconds. They're not really your friends. So even now I have now that I'm getting clean, I have nobody right now. So I hate it. I hate it. I mean, you don't take care of yourself anymore. You can't work. You don't get along with your family. It's just bad. You're so sick, you can barely get out of bed in the morning. It's awful. You owe everybody money. It's not nice.
I ended up going out with a guy, and he was a junkie, and I was hanging out with this fella's house all the time. So I was watching him shoot up all the time, we'd go into Charlottetown, I'd watch him go steal to get money, and he'd go get his fix, and I'd just sit there and watch him do it and be sober the whole time. I was telling him, I said, I want to try it, but my boyfriend said that if I ever tried it, that he'd break up with me because he couldn't afford his own addiction, let alone support me, right? So anyways, he said, oh, well, don't worry about him. Once I get my welfare check at the end of the month, I'll shoot you up. So anyways, I was quite nervous because I had never tried these. I had never eaten them, nothing. And so the end of the month came, and I was in school at this point. I was going to alt ed. I finished school that day, and I went over to this guy's house, and I was 15 at the time, and he was 36 or 37, I guess. No, yeah, about that. And anyways, I got there, and I went to the kitchen table and sat down to roll a smoke, and anyways, he had a little pile of dilaudid 4s there. And he's like, all right, honey, are you ready? And I said, well, for what? Kind of acting dumb because I was so scared. And I mean, I was scared, but I wanted to have this ego and everything that, oh, well, I'm not, trying to play it off, but I was really petrified. So anyways, he bought a new bag of rigs that day, and he got both our shots done up, and he done his, and he said, okay, you ready? And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe I should just try snorting one first, I don't know. And he said, he's like, holy shit, well, I already have it all done up, and you're gonna make me waste one of these new rigs. Not that it would have mattered anyways, because he had a whole bag. Anyways, but either way, like I said, naive, and I didn't know what to believe, and I was scared of him, but at the same time, I think that's why I kept him so close to me, and I went and visited him every day because, I don't know, strange just how, conniving people are, and he just thought, I don't know, I feel really stupid for saying how good of a friend I thought he was, and it turns out, he was just trying to sucker me into his whole world so that, get me addicted, and he might not even been truly meaning to do it. It's subconsciously, it just happens. It's just the way an addict's mind works. You don't even realize. So anyways, he's after him kind of getting mad at me, I just first thing stuck out my arm, and I said, oh, go ahead, and I turned my head, and he shot me up for the first time then, and basically screwed from then on out. I done it 3 more times, and then my mom ended up finding out, and of course she freaked out. I mean, no wonder a 15-year-old daughter putting needles in her arms.
My mother, she tried to commit suicide 3 different times, and that was pretty hard. Yeah, I had an uncle that passed away from drinking, and I had an aunt that passed away from drinking, and I had a cousin that passed away from drug use. So it definitely runs. And my father was an alcoholic. So
yeah, my family didn't really want me around, and I don't blame them now.
Well, first of all, we always talked to our children about drugs from an early age, and everything else that's they needed to know, sex and things like that, in an age-appropriate way. So I was really shocked that he tried marijuana, because my husband and I, we don't drink or smoke. And we certainly didn't do drugs, so it was not an environment they grew up in. So we thought, and because we always talked to them, we thought that, you know, we were going to be safe with the drugs. So it was very shocking, but he was adamant that he just used it just that one time he tried it. So we were like, okay, and we had no reason to doubt him because he was honest enough to tell us that. So we thought, why would he lie? So, but we know now at that point he had been probably using for a year or so. The more you talk, the more people you meet who are going through it too, and that you have no idea. You know, there was a family that we've known for years, and they had no idea that we were going through that until this happened. And then the mom came up to me one day, and she sat beside me, and she said, I know exactly what you're going through, because we are too.
The first time that I found out how involved she was from one of her friends who said she was doing needles. Now, that just about blew me out of the water. She was missing that day, and I found her and confronted her, and I just threw her in the van and a car, and immediately we went to outpatients, actually. I had her checked for everything, because I said, like, to me, the whole thing was you were going to be catching something, you know, we got to get this fixed, and it's going to be stopped, and little did I know that things were a lot worse. But that was the first time we really knew how serious it was. She moved in with a friend's father who was 20-some years older than her, and from what we found out, one of the summers they went through close to $40,000 worth of money in a couple of months. His wife had shot herself in front of her child the previous year, and it was all due to pills. So it was just an addiction scene, I guess is the way to describe it. But yeah, it's been torturous, it's been hell. I'd never wish it on my worst enemy, and I know I have tons and tons to learn yet, but what I do know scares me to death.
And you know, we thought, great, it was the happiest day of our lives, because we thought, oh, thank goodness, you know, he's going to get help, he'll be better. So we took him to the detox, and he was there for 7 days, and then we picked him up, and I just felt like $1,000,000. He sounded like our old son again, and we thought, oh, this is over, thank goodness. You know, we had no idea what we were up against. We didn't know. We just thought it was over, but it wasn't long before he relapsed again. Addiction is a very cruel disease, because, you know, it's natural for us to want to nurture our kids and love them and protect them, because we always do that. But when they have an addiction, you have to let go of them. You can't do that, because you can love them to death, literally. So you have to let go and let them fall.
When you watch your child, before she left, the week she left, she jumped out a 2-story window of our house. of her dad's house, and I found her down at the corner. She had on a pair of the scruffiest looking pants I ever saw, and an old hoodie with it up. And that was the week we were going to Portage, and they had told us we had to detox her at home. So I took work off, her father came home, and we sat on her 24/7. No one could leave her. But she got to the bedroom. We had to take, at the end of it, we had to take all the handles off the windows. We had to, like, she went to the bathroom, we had to stand outside the bathroom. It was a week of hell. We knew the end was coming, but it was a week of hell. But she jumped out, she got down to the corner, and she was hiking to get a pill because she was that sick. Her drug of choice was Dilaudid, so it was extreme withdrawals. Her father never saw this before. I had seen some, but she's standing there, and I stopped the car and I said, "You gotta come home, you know." And when you see your child stand on the side of the road, foaming at the mouth and begging you, just begging you, "Please just let me get one pill, I'll be better." It was the most heartbreaking, I can't even explain the feelings.
Don't assume that you know what the parents of addicts are like. Don't assume that they weren't good parents, so that's why it happened, because that's not the case. And I was that person once, you know, because everything was perfect. My kids were well behaved, you know, and everything was going great. We were doing everything right, and it showed when they were younger in the way they acted. They're very mannerly and everything. So, you know, when I would hear about someone being addicted, I would think, well, must have been something the parents did, because that's what we're always told, right, that it's parenting. So anyway, but now I know that that is just not true. And I feel bad that I ever even thought that about parents, and even a set of parents that I know very well and I love to death, and I know they were really great parents, but even years ago before this happened to me and their son was addicted, I would think there must have been something we didn't see.
Historically, there's been a relatively low rate of treatment for opioid dependence in Prince Edward Island. Up until approximately 10 to 15 years ago, there started to be a rise in the statistics. There started to be an increase in the amount of people that addiction services would have to treat for opioid dependence versus alcoholism, which has been the most common disease, the most common manifestation of addictive disease on PEI for generations. I think there's a lot of misconception about that. I think that, you know, they just want to get high. When somebody's in withdrawal, the books say you're in withdrawal for 7 to 10 days, but the truth is that's acute withdrawal. The acute withdrawal is very uncomfortable, and most people wouldn't be able to do acute withdrawal if they had any other option. If there's even any conceivable option, most people with opioid addiction would take that other option no matter how drastic it might be. They're in a very desperate state of mind when they're in acute withdrawal. When it comes to opioid dependence, it seems like the time frame is condensed down to a much smaller time frame, and a person can go from really unaddicted to a very late stage serious drug addiction with IV drug use really within a period of months to years, like a few short years. Can see a person go from being basically normal and functional to really full-blown, full-fledged addiction, and their life being a massive, distressed life as a scream, basically, you know, like nothing but continual addiction to the point that a person can't stand to be in withdrawal.
I went to detox every once in a while, and then I'd get out and they wouldn't really offer me anything for after that except for once-a-month appointments with my counselor, which really didn't do much, and meetings, which I really wasn't into. So I used pretty much everything they offered me, but it wasn't enough, and then I was still using, and then I started going to jail and I started looking for help in there, but I was only in for a couple months at a time, and they pretty much only deal with people who are doing like a year at a time. They're the only ones that get the support in there. So whenever I got out of jail the second time, I applied for a rehab in Ontario that works with mental health too, so that was good for me, but the government wouldn't pay for it because I didn't try like the strength program or anything they had to offer here. So they said they wouldn't pay for it because I technically didn't try everything here. So yeah, that didn't work out for me.
Like, I loved the strength program, it was great, but I mean, they send you home every weekend and then you're on your own. And then the day I left, I relapsed, so it's just not long enough. So I was in detox 4 or 5 times, but that doesn't really help either, so. We need a long-term rehab center where they don't send you home, like, on your own. I think it should be mandatory to stay there for like 6 months or something like that. We just need something that's longer. It wasn't easy at all. I relapsed so many times, so it's hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
I mean, detox is great because it does get the drugs out of your system. That's the key, right? That's, you need to get that out, but as far as like anything after that, I mean, you know, they get the drugs out of your system and then you're at your weakest point, right? That is your weakest point, and we need something that is long term, where when you want to leave and you don't want to do it anymore because it's getting hard, you have people that are fighting for you to stay, because that's what Portage does. There's rarely any people that actually leave early because they fight so hard and they actually talk to you and explain to you of your reality on where you are and where you are right now, where you were, and what you're going back to if you don't finish treatment, right? Like we don't have anything around here. Like, I know we have the strength program, but at the same time, that's not good enough. It might be good enough for kids, but as far as, I mean, anyone from, you know, 14 and 15 and older, they need something way more serious than that, because it's not worth it when you're starting to foam at your mouth like I did and starting to collapse. It's not worth it, because I tell you, some people don't make it that far and some people don't make it through, and I almost didn't. So if you're just starting out, please stop.
Yeah, I got what I wanted. They bled out my organs. They cut me wide open till I quit. Guess it's time. Haley, if you're out there, I wish you all the very best. Yeah, got me away from that. Haley, if you're out there, I hope.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs.
How long has it been now?
It's been 6 months now, I guess, so something like that. And I feel great. I feel a lot better than I did before. And
I'm doing the strength program right now, and I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I know it's going to be different once I'm done with the program. It's whenever it's actually going to like really hit me.
I'm on the methadone program right now, but that even sucks. So, I mean, you gotta go to the pharmacy every day and you get sick.
I'm doing pretty good right now. Like, I'm working really hard and I'm really confident right now. And I'm going out west here soon, and that's probably the best for me, because it's really hard being on this island when I know so many people that I wish I didn't.